I would tell those voters in the state of Florida and around the country that President Trump's been very clear when it comes to abortion. Specifically to Florida, he thinks that the 6-week ban is not enough weeks, but at the same time, the ballot initiative is far too radical for the state of Florida. And so every voter in our state's having to make that decision. He's decided to vote no, just like I have and so many other Floridians. But I think it's important for voters in swing states to understand that the ballot initiative in Florida has no bearing on the cost of food in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan or anywhere else. The fault lies with your cost of food, the cost of goods, the wide open border, terrible foreign policy. That falls at the feet of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And those are the issues that are actually going to impact this presidential election. Florida voters are going to decide what they're going to do on Amendment 4. We'll see how that comes out. But the presidency and the issues facing the next president of the United States are not going to be the same issues, not even close to a ballot initiative in Florida. Well, obviously, it's something that is possible to support, depends on the details. At the end of the day, what Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have been saying is very clear. They want to make sure that IVF is available to every family that needs to take advantage of it. Because yes, having families, building families in America is critical to the future of our success as a nation. And so I think it's something that members on both sides of the aisle will try to find a way to make sure that we can get there. We'll see what the details look like. But at the end of the day, the core issues facing the American people are the cost of food and housing. Donald Trump has the recipe to make it better for the lives of the American people. Having a secure southern border. We know what Donald Trump did, and we can see the terrible job Kamala Harris has done. This is the reason why migrants are getting welfare benefits in states all across America. California now wants to give $150,000 for illegal immigrants to buy homes in California. That is the type of policy, the value set that Kamala Harris supports. It's way outside the mainstream of the American people. It's not something that I think people should get behind. I'm telling you, people are already behind it. If you poll deportation, the American people support it pretty much overwhelmingly at this point. Massive majorities, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Hispanic, because what the American people want is legal immigration. They do not want illegal immigration. They do not tolerate it. Illegal immigration is out of the playbook of the radical left Democrats led by Kamala Harris. So if you have criminals in our streets, like in New York, you have to deport them. You have to send them home. If you have illegals like in Chicago who are taking over schools, they're taking over recreation centers, they're taking over hotels, and they're not getting the vital need, the vital aid that citizens in these cities are looking for. It's going to illegals. You have people in our country who are saying enough is enough. Send them back to their home country. There's nothing wrong with that. I would tell you that the cost of inaction and the cost of the Kamala Harris open border policy is far more devastating, not just to state budgets, local budgets, and the federal budget, but also to our economy over the long term, because you're going to have a lot of people in our country illegally who do not have the skill sets to move into our economy on the scale that we need, and they're going to be drags on our society overall, not to mention the crime that does exist, and not to mention that you do have illegal immigrant children in our country who are taking resources from American citizens, children in our country who need every ability to be able to step up and take the leadership reins of our country. So the cost of mobilizing forces in our nation to deport illegal immigrants pales in comparison to the long run massive costs of just letting them stay in the United States. And if Kamala Harris has her way, turning the spigot on to invite more illegal immigration in the future. It is simply not a recipe for success. We are going to have to send people back to their home countries, and there's nothing wrong with that.
It tells me that all of the momentum is with Vice President Harris. When she became the nominee, which she won not through a coronation, but through acclamation, she created so much energy, so much fundraising, so many new volunteers. It carried through the Democratic National Convention, which was pure joy, one of the most exciting conventions that I think many people have ever seen. And now you see it continuing after. You see a focus campaign where the vice president is focused on people's everyday lives, tax cuts for the middle class, more affordable housing, looking at everyone and saying, I care about you And then you see former President Trump, who is reeling, who is for an issue and then against it and then for it and then against it again. And now you start seeing the political ramifications of that. Well, James Carville is a great friend and a great strategist. What I think he's saying is that when you are vice president, you have to support the president's agenda. But she's not going to be the vice president anymore. She is running to be president of the United States. And I think it's as simple as letting Kamala be Kamala. She has her own views. We are all different, even if we've been a part of an administration, even if we're in the same political parties. We all have different nuances, different ways that we were raised, different things that we feel more passionately about. I think it could even be just an issue of, say, focus. When you look at President Biden's economic plan, it was about long-term sustainability. It was about chips, and it was about EVs, places we know the economy is going. It was about reshoring our supply chain, things that need to happen for our long-term economic viability. You look at Vice President Harris's plan, and it's more about right now. How can we help you get by right now to take advantage of that growing economy? Well, I don't think he can, because the vice president has been a leader on this issue. She has been out there on rescheduling, which is the decriminalization of marijuana, so much so that I've joined her for a couple of events. Who would have ever thought that the vice president, the governor of Kentucky, and Fat Joe would be in the same press conference talking about this issue and where the American people are and what they deserve. But listen, Donald Trump doesn't have any real views on issues. He's for whatever he thinks can get him back into power and that gives him power. So just like on his ever-shifting position on abortion, he'll probably come out for this, then he'll get pushed back, he'll be against it, then maybe he'll be half for it, and then he'll probably be against it again.